So, hello everyone. I'm Sam Julien. I am a developer advocate for Auth0, and this is the second edition of Auth0 Live, which is our new streaming fancy thing. And today we have a really awesome special guest. We have Kurt Kemple from Apollo. You want to say hi, Kurt?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, you nailed it. Kurt Kemple. I work at Apollo. I am also a developer advocate.
Yeah. And so there's some new awesomeness coming to Apollo, right?
New hotness,
New
yeah,
hotness.
yeah. Apollo Client 3.0 is coming very soon. Yeah, and like it's awesome. It's great, and I can't wait to show you and talk about it.
Sweet. So I think what we're gonna do today is I spent a little time and built a simple CRUD API with Apollo Server last night for just like a habit tracker. It's basically habits that have uh, entries, and then and it's just an in-memory JavaScript API. Hey James, thanks for coming. My coworker, James Quick, who's
Nice.
also a developer advocate for Auth0. So what we're gonna do is I have this server here. It's very simple. It's just an Apollo server, and we have a little schema and some queries and mutations, and it'll be just enough to let us actually do something. So we're just going to create a new client with Apollo Client 3. I assume we're going to use React. I guess we could use anything else, but
We
um,
could use, I mean, anything. We could just even have like an index file and an HTML file if we really wanted to get crazy with it.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess we'll just use React. It's going to be quick. We can use create React app. If you're familiar with React, I am as well. That'd be pretty easy. I'm a little
yeah,
curious about this server real quick though, if you don't mind, before we
yeah,
just
sure. Yeah.
dive off into the client. I was just curious, like what you're using for a database. Like I saw you pulling stuff out of DB. You
Okay,
know,
yeah.
just
So this is just oh hey, we have more people in the chat. I'm
oh
getting
yeah,
used to monitoring the chat at the same time. Thanks for joining, everyone. Okay, yeah. So my dilemma in like making content is always how like legit to go. Um, because
okay,
part of me wants to be like, no, I'm gonna make like a real database and like show this in the real world. But then part of
yeah,
me is like, well, that doesn't really matter in the end. Like, what really matters is just sort of the functionality.
the
Like the
behavior,
client
yeah,
doesn't care whether it's a real database or not, right?
for
Um,
sure.
so what I did was, and I based this off of something I learned from Scott Moss in one of his front end masters courses, but it's not quite as complex as what he did. But all I did really is define. So I've got my schema. Um, so I started with the
Yeah,
schema. That's pretty straightforward, just like regular GraphQL. And then I made this models file where I basically, this is just, I mean, and this is not at all uh, like refactored. There's a lot I can do with this to make this better, but
yeah.
I've got
No judgment.
yeah,
This is a judgment-free zone.
judgment free
So
zone.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I've got like some starter data in here that's literally just a JavaScript object with a couple of
Cool.
arrays,
Yeah.
and then I made this sort of like janky ORM to interact with that data. So I've got like all of the CRUD operations are just adding things and removing them from these different arrays. But
Yeah.
and then
I
I just export all of these functions, and that way in the resolvers I just export everything, and that way in the resolvers I can just do this. I can just pretend that it's a database and say like db.getEntries by habit ID, and good to go.
yeah, that's
So it's all
perfect.
sort of
That's
like
awesome.
hidden away from. I can go back and refact stuff and make it more complicated or whatever I want to do, or not complicated, but a little more elegant.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so that's what's going on with it, and that way in the server file, the server file is just 9 lines, and I'm just importing the schema and importing the resolvers,
Boom.
and then just creating the new Apollo server, and we're good to go. Yeah, so I mean it works, and I can refactor it later, right? So if I
Absolutely.
just run npm start, we'll get a nice GraphQL playground. And see, it's convenient because I was just working on this last night, so I still have everything pulled up. So I can do like habits and pull up that, and that pulls me up the habits and the entries, or I could
Hey
get the
you.
entries. I could do a mutation to add a habit of like I don't know, floss every day. I don't know.
There you go. It's
Do
good. It's
add
healthy.
habit, and now when I do query for the habits, now I have floss every day. One thing that I gotta turn this down a little bit. It's like blaring my ears here. Uh, one thing that's that I kind of did to gamify this a little bit is every time you add a new completed entry, it will up the points by 10. So that like if you're building a client for this, you can like, make it more fun to track
Got
habits.
it. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so I can just like add an entry, and then when I go back to that habit, so I've already got this all set up. So there's one false entry and one true entry. So the idea is like you're like, it's sort of like a journaling app, right? Where you're sort of like adding
Yeah.
an entry to like, yes, I did this today, or no, I didn't do this today. And every time you
Yeah.
add a true entry, it'll bump the points by 10 for that habit. So that gives us like a starting point. And I'm gonna use this API in a bunch of different projects and content and stuff like that. So we can just like use create React app and get it going,
Yeah,
I
I think we're
guess.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think we're ready. Let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah, did you have a name that you were gonna call
I
this?
don't have a name for it. Maybe somebody in the chat can like come up with a really cool name for us. I thought about just
Yeah.
like tracker without an e, because that's like the hip tech thing.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Uh
There's a website that will do that for you. Like you put in a word and it like removes vowels randomly to like give you the startup name.
yeah. That's
I wish I had the URL to
it'd be
that,
like
but yeah.
HBTTR Hibit Tricker or
Hibbit.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we'll do npx habitrack. Okay, we'll go with that.
Habit track.
That's a good
Yeah,
one. Tracky.
the tracky.
Create
That's
React app. I'm gonna
amazing.
go with habitrack. I like it.
Yeah,
npx
yeah, we'll roll with it.
create app habitrack.
Wait.
Wait. Do we want to keep it? Do we want to put it inside of a client folder, or I guess we don't need to. It'll just
Oh, yeah, it's up to you.
we'll just
Yeah.
do that. And
And getting up, let's hop over to the Apollo docs, and then we'll
oh
go to
yeah,
the 3.0 beta,
yeah. Let's do it.
and yeah, we'll take a look at that. Because some things, in case some people were using two previously, yeah, there we go. A little bit has changed in as far as like where things are going. What are we building? We're just going to build a client that will connect to that GraphQL API that Sam just went over, and yeah, the habit tracker app.
Habit Tracker app,
Boom.
affectionately dubbed
Yeah,
Habit
habit
Track
track.
by Anna,
Yeah,
who's
exactly.
locked down in Spain. Uh, cool. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So the I had so the server, is the server also moving to 3, or is it just the client that's moving to 3?
So they're not they don't have to be like tightly coupled. They're not. So like 3.0 is being released. There is a 3.0 version of server that is also going to be released.
Ah.
But they're not happening like at the same time. They're two separate projects, but they just do both happen to be on the third version, major version.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
the version 3 of the client will work with version 2 of the server.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that there will be like most changes, the most changes are to like the cache API. That's like the biggest bulk of the differences. And so like surface level as far as like how you actually use queries and mutations, like that doesn't change. Some of the stuff inside of it does, like as far as dealing with updates of the cache after a mutation,
Mm-hmm.
but like just calling a mutation or using the hooks, that will remain the same. It's just a bit of the lower level stuff that's changing, and there's more APIs available with the cache that make it a lot easier to work with.
Ah, cool. So
Yeah,
a
and
lot of caching improvements, it sounds like. Yeah.
yeah, and then the other thing that was a breaking change about this is that the way the dependencies work. So before you had to install everything kind of individually, but it didn't really make sense because you need them all anyway, really, for most cases, to just set up Apollo client and use it. So it made more sense to include them.
Oh, so are you talking about things like Apollo Boost and like React Apollo, things like that?
Yeah, not even Apollo Boost or React Apollo, more like in memory cache,
Oh, I gotcha.
and like links, HTTP link and stuff like that, for connecting to APIs. Like all that stuff now is within
It's all wrapped up
all
into the
clients
client.
for the most
I
part.
see.
Yeah, actually, if we scroll down,
Yeah.
it should have right here the instructions. So just the
Just
getting
the getting
started, I guess.
started. Oh, I think
Yeah.
the getting
Oh,
started
right in
just
the left.
yeah, the getting started just automatically uses React. I'm gonna start
Yeah.
doing
So,
some Angular
yep.
GraphQL
There we go.
content at some point because
Oh, cool.
there's not that much. I get asked that a lot at Angular conferences, and for some reason there's not a lot of like educational material on GraphQL and Angular.
That's a shame. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh.
So
Oh.
is this a
And then
new package, or is this um do we need to do like at next or anything
no.
for this?
So just yeah, we're on the 3.0 docs, and like it's been in beta for a while. And when you do Apollo slash client, what you get is like the latest beta version right
I
now.
see. Yeah, so in
Yep.
the olden days was it different? Was it yeah, I see.
Yeah. It was
Apollo Boost,
yeah.
Apollo React. That's right. Yeah, okay. I remember now.
Yep.
Okay, that seems pretty easy.
Yeah.
So we'll just
Yeah, so that's what it went from, right? Like needing those three packages to now you just do this.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hi to
Yeah.
Geo Fields. Thanks for joining. And Brad
What's
Garapi
up?
also says he never understood Apollo Link anyway. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, it uses observables, and the API can be a bit much. Yeah.
Ah, as an Angular person, I know the pain of observables. They're
Yeah,
powerful but painful.
super powerful. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just enough, yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna do npm install Apollo client. Will version 3 of the server also be like namespaced like that? I was wondering that last night when I was
I don't know. I would imagine
because it's just
that
Apollo
looks like the
dash
way it's
server.
going.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
So I
Okay.
would imagine yes. Do we want to CD? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I always make that mistake when I do this.
Got it.
CD Habitrack. Okay. So we'll do npm install Apollo client. And let's see. Gotta change our index.html importance that we call this Habitrack.
Oh, immediately. Yes.
And let's see. While that's going, maybe we can look at some of this other stuff. So we're
Yeah.
gonna need to create a client. I wonder if we're gonna have to proxy anything with create a React app. Probably not, I guess, because we can.
No, it should. Yeah, I mean, if you have a server running on localhost 4000, it
Yeah,
should be straightforward. Is copying this like with the copy
yeah. I'll
buttons.
just
There's even copy buttons
literally
in the docs.
copy it
Yeah,
over there
yeah,
and
exactly.
go over to index.js. I'm going to get rid of the service worker. There's just It's just too much. Too much
Too
stuff.
much.
Okay, and then paste in that. Oh, second step after the index file, gotta add prettier. So
Yeah, that's a good
add
call.
prettier, and I just always use the defaults for prettier. What do you do? Do you like?
Me? Oh, I use the defaults. No, the less I have to talk about a styling
Yeah,
adjustment, the more happy I
I
am.
seriously feel just having your standard be the defaults of prettier just saves so much like hassle with working with other people. You
Oh yeah,
just like don't worry about it anymore. Like, yeah, it uses double quotes
that's
instead
it.
of single quotes. Like, get over it. I don't know. It's just like
Who
I
cares?
don't. Who
Yeah.
cares? Okay.
As long as you can type whatever you want, and it's fine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It
You
all
type
washes
whatever
out.
you want, and then when you save it, it's formatted, and you can submit it. You can commit it and everything. So
Yeah. So real quick, let's change the URL.
yeah.
Let's change that to on line 10 there.
Does it the base URL?
It depends on what you set up. It depends on what you set up in the server, and it looks like you set it to the base
Yeah, I
URI.
think I did
And if you
actually.
loaded graphical at the base URI, then chances are yes, it's also the endpoint. Yep, so it's
Yeah,
just the
good
base
point.
URI.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's where, yeah, if graphical loads there, that's generally your indicator you found it. Right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, James, this is the URL for where the server with the data is. So in this case,
Yes.
probably so in this case, if I have the GraphQL running at the base of the URL, that's what we're saying. Like probably a lot of the time, I mean, I could change it to be more realistic, I guess, if we want. I could say, let's see. I do that in the configuration, right? So just change it to
Yeah, you would change like it's literally where you serve the the server from or like what path you specify to run it on. Yeah, I think it's a command option. Let me check.
yeah, let's see. Cuz
Um,
it might be no, it's good, James. Keep the questions coming. It
oh
it might
yeah.
be better to have this served at /GraphQL cuz that's like a much more standard like a much more
I
realistic
think a
thing.
lot of
You think?
people are starting to move to just base URLs. Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
okay.
different like yeah, but I am still curious. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, let me pull up the
Not the
let's
schema.
see.
So
It's just sort of like the basic setup of the server.
yeah, I'm looking for like get started. Bingo.
Start your server.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just doing it at the root and all the examples that I'm seeing.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, let's just keep rolling with it.
Works for me. Okay, we're just gonna keep it at the
Yeah.
root. Okay, so back in so theoretically we don't really need to work that much with the server. That's what's cool about GraphQL because
Yeah.
we can hit our graphical playground to test out queries and stuff in React, and we don't actually really need to know anything about what's happening with the server.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
love it.
um so the next thing we want to do probably is wrap this in a provider, right?
You got it.
Let's go back to the docs and make sure we're on version 3 and get started. Let's just, yeah. They do like a little test example, but we'll just go ahead and skip that and head down. So what we want to do is wrap, we want to import
Here
the
we go.
Apollo provider. So we'll just,
Yeah, we're
oh
already
yeah.
importing a lot of things from client. We
So we
could
can
probably
just
just
do
add that
this,
to the
yeah.
list.
Apollo provider. And then we can, do I really need to React strict mode? Probably not, but Apollo provider and do that. And then this takes
Yeah.
in a client, right? Is it
Yep,
value
you
or
got it.
client? It's client. So client
It's
equals
client. Yeah. Equals client.
cool. and voila, we're now like
That's it. We
set
are
up.
connected to the API.
So James is asking, there's no instances where people have come across where they need any other endpoints. So yeah, James, so the GraphQL endpoint replaces any of the REST endpoints. So instead of doing things
Yeah.
like get, post, and put, um, the GraphQL endpoint will take in what's called a query for getting data, and that's like the equivalent of a get. And then the mutation is sort of the replacement for put or post, where you're mutating or adding any data to the data set that you're working with. So you send into so when I was on this playground, so this is a query of like going and getting all the habits here, and then to add a habit, instead of sending like a typical post request to like slash habit or something like that, this mutation gets sent into the GraphQL endpoint and creates the new habit. And just to trace this out, just for people who are curious, we'll just take a quick detour real quick. So this resolver lives here in the server, and this is basically just saying to GraphQL, hey, GraphQL, when somebody sends in this create habit mutation, I'm going to expect this certain type of input, and then go do your thing in the database to add it. And so that's how this is happening and kind of replacing the REST endpoint. Cool. How would one allow read operations via GraphQL but require auth for write? So auth, let's come back to auth stuff, because it's a there's a number of ways that you can handle auth. Actually, I have a talk that I can link right now.
And
Uh, let's see.
while you're grabbing that, I do want to say, honestly, you would handle that with authorization, right? Like you have authentication, which is understanding who someone is and giving them access to a system. And then you have authorization, which is what is that user allowed to do within the given system. And that doesn't change between REST or GraphQL. In either API system, you have to have a system of authorizing users to do certain actions. So it's while it's implemented slightly different in GraphQL, the principles are the exact same.
Right, exactly. I'm just pulling because I gave a talk at GraphQL Asia. Where is it? Well, I'll have to find it another. I know the videos are up now. This looks like from last year though. Anyway, I'll find it and I'll link it eventually. But I gave a talk at GraphQL Asia that about there's like 3 or 4 different ways you can handle like authorization in GraphQL, and it sort of depends on your use case. Um, yeah, and every GraphQL post, every GraphQL request is a post request. That's right. Okay, so we can be done with the server pretty much. Close everything and go into our group. So we have our provider. So now what do we do?
Well, I'd say now would be a good time to test this out, to test a query,
Yeah.
and to make sure that it is in fact working.
Yeah, so let's just do like the basic habits query or something.
Absolutely.
And we can just do it in our app component
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
So
So,
we can just get rid of this.
so yeah, because we're here, we can do use query. Um,
Yes. Yes, cuz that's is that are the hooks new to Apollo Client 3, or were they in 2 as well?
no, yeah, the hooks existed. And so this doesn't change much, but now it's like within the client package. So I'm pretty sure we just import these right from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Uh,
I'm pretty sure that's right. So we say import use query from Apollo client. Awesome. And so for this,
and we also need GQL because
oh
we're gonna
yeah,
have to for the yeah, but
that's right.
also comes from Apollo client now.
Right, right. So I've seen this where people do this. They say const, and they like const habits query. like
Yeah.
this, and
Yep.
then pass in the query there. So we're gonna write our query. Ah, thanks for finding that talk, Rosnovsky. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Cool. Thanks.
Um, so we can just do habits, and let's just get be like really simple here and get the ID and the description. Now, what's cool is we can go to our GraphQL playground here and actually pull up the queries and actually
Yeah.
like figure out what we need right there. So we'll just do
You
the ID and
you can
description.
also install the Apollo VS Code extension and get like IntelliSense. So it would just start
Do I
showing you
already
what's
have that?
available.
Wait, so the Apollo, oh, oh my. Is it smart enough? Does it like load in the schema from the server?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, because it
Whoa.
knows where you're pointing to. So yeah.
That's right. Okay, let's try that. That sounds cool. Since we have like a working server and everything, we may as well. Of course, it's going to take like forever to install for some reason.
Always.
Just because we're live. That's the only reason. If I were offline, it would just happen immediately. Let's give it a second. You
So
already.
we
Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay.
yeah. So we have to add a configuration for it,
Oh,
but it
okay.
takes like real quick. It's
Is it in the server side or the client side?
this would be in the client side.
Okay.
And so actually from here, we'd probably want it at the root because you want it at the root of the project. So the Apollo config
Oh,
file
the
should probably
config
live at
file.
the root.
Okay,
Yeah.
um so like in here.
And then I'm going to send you um,
Is it just called
this.
apollo.config or something? What's it called?
It is, you got apollo.config.js.
Cool.
And then I sent you a snippet in the chat in Skype.
Boom.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say have a tracker. Or no,
Mhm.
have a track.
Have a track. And then we just
And
got to
then
take off the slash
dist.
GraphQL.
Yeah, okay. And you can see that I'm getting output from the thingy. So let's see. Okay, so let's see. Unexpected name habits. Yeah, so that's probably because I didn't
Do
habits.
query.
Oh, yeah, dir query habits. Oh, yeah, that's cool. See, I
See,
can.
and now we get the IntelliSense. So
Oh, that's cool.
I believe if you hit like Control Spacebar, it might pop them up as well, like it does in graphical.
Oh, yeah. Now, what am I missing
No,
here? I'm.
uh,
Oh, it's because it wants.
parameters.
Yeah, I think it wants like habits query. It wants a named. We have to
Oh
do
yeah, for the
a
query.
named query. Yeah. Okay. So we
Cool.
should. So now we got our query. I forget because I think the convention isn't the convention to use like all caps for the actual const, and then I don't know if this needs to be this. I think it's the same. I don't remember if you do something like
That's
get
what I've
habits
done
or
previously. People have different opinions. Like if you do that, that's how it's going to return to you. Um, Yeah, no, so that's good. Yeah, you just have habits. It doesn't matter. I guess it matters if like analytics. So like you can track these queries. If you use like Apollo tracing, you can see like
ah.
how long it's taking to execute different queries or mutations, where you're getting errors and all that fun jazz.
I see.
Like how many times each thing is accessed. But like to track this, it would use habits query as the name. But yeah, a lot of people use like what is that? What is it? What casing is that?
I mean, this is just
Um,
all caps, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think there's a name for this one too, though, like a specific. But yes, Yeah, a lot of people do it like this.
Okay.
I do it like this.
So wherever we want to use that, we use query, right? So
Yeah.
use query, and then just pass in habits query.
No, so this is so it won't go on the div. It's like it will be before it. So actually, oh, at this point, if you want to share your VS Code
Oh yeah, that's a
session,
cool idea.
I could dive in here. Yeah, so you can leave that part. That will stay.
Let's see.
But we're gonna like use state, and then we'll get the query, store it in state, and then like go over that.
Uh, I installed this yesterday while we were talking. I don't know why it's not.
Hmm,
I don't know why it's not installed. Let's try
that's
again.
weird.
Okay. Okay. So
It might want you to sign in. You'll have to see. I don't know. So you would start collaboration.
let's see.
Probably configure settings at the bottom.
Oh yeah, probably because it's downloading some dependencies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, I know we want to do like the query, and then it's gonna return to us like loading error and
You
the
got it.
data.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if while we're waiting on that, so if you just make a
yeah,
new line before the return statement,
yeah,
um, well, you could put the div back. That's like going to stay because we're
yeah,
still going to return this
yeah.
or that. Yeah,
I'll just
exactly. And then
yeah,
it's
there we go.
hang on one sec. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then let's go outside of the return statement, though. We want to be
Okay.
above that. So like a new line from the beginning of yeah, yeah, yeah. There. So const, and then it's going to be we're going to destructure an array. So it'll be a const statement,
Oh, okay.
then
And we're gonna say
array.
data error loading like that, or is
I
it
think it's data loading error, but because it's specific to the order, because it's an array.
right?
So let
Right.
me actually go check because now I don't know. Let's see. Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, it's an object, so
Oh
not an
yeah.
array. There we go. So it doesn't matter the order because
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
it's
So
yeah, yeah,
data
yeah. So
loading error.
yeah,
Okay.
I was like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. So now we have this. So now we could say like if loading, return something for
Yeah.
loading. If
If
this,
loading.
yeah,
Oop. Po.
um, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess I would do. I guess it would be easier to do if loading return
Oh yeah, that's but
the
yeah, it's good.
loading. I mean, it would be we could
That's
make
yeah,
this more
that's what I would do.
sophisticated, but
No,
if
this is good. Yeah.
error.
Ooh, we could use a state machine. Dun dun
Oh
dun. We're
man,
not gonna.
somebody get Kyle
Yeah.
Shevlin on here and David at the
Yeah.
piano.
Yeah.
Return. Uh-oh. Actually, let's look at rut row.
You could do error dot message, so that
Oh
will be
yeah.
available to you.
Just do. Okay. And then we can just do for the data, we could just like map something. So we could say uh h2
You gotta do a
habits.
return with parentheses first.
Oh, yeah, dir. Return. Probably need a fragment here because we're gonna put a bunch of things in there.
Yeah.
h2 habits. And then we can say like ul and then do
I like it.
uh,
I dig it.
data.habits and coding from scratch. Data habits and then
Data.
data.habits.map
Yep.
habit and do li habit dot description. Right? Did I
Yeah,
get that
and I
right?
think You got that right. I don't think we need the first data habits check unless we wanted to maybe put that outside of the UL. Because like if we've made it this far, there's no
That's
error,
true.
there's no loading. So no matter what, habits will at least be an empty array. So
Yeah,
that code
that's
will execute fine. But
yeah,
if
that's
you
a good point.
don't want the UL, you could move that part outside.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can we'll just leave it for now because first we just want to
Yeah.
see if it's working. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let's just do npm
Hey.
start
Hey,
and
Dom. Thanks for
see.
joining.
Dom, excellent. Okay. All right. Moment of truth.
Are we running it? Oh, yeah. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Thanks for your support, Dom.
It's much appreciated.
Okay. Nothing is happening, so let's see.
All right.
Womp womp. We got a compilation here. What's happening?
No unused expressions.
Oh, well, we can get rid of that. It's because
But now
it's
it's
running in
compiling?
strict mode. It's because it's running
Oh,
in strict
yeah.
mode. It's being
Yeah, yeah.
grumpy. App.js line 28. What's happening? This probably needs to be. What's happening? I must have an
Oh, it's
extra
no
something
return.
here.
You have a curly brace, but there's no return statement. So like you're returning the JSX on line 28. You need to put return and then wrap
Wait.
your LI in
Oh,
parentheses on line 28.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there we go. And then parentheses around it too. Boom. There we go. Or I guess you
GraphQL.
could just do that. That's weird. Prettier fixed it. I guess you don't need those.
Uh,
Cannot resolve.
GraphQL tag. We've got a can't resolve
Oh,
GraphQL language
oh, you still have
parser.
to install GraphQL, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think I
Like
did.
GraphQL itself. Yeah.
So that's interesting because that I don't think that was
Was
in
not in the
that
docs,
was not
right?
in the docs.
All right.
It seems like yeah. I think you do have to install GraphQL. Let's see if that works. Live coding.
I love it.
While that's going, let's see if we can. Oh boy,
Error?
share now. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to see if I can. Oh,
Oh.
sign in with GitHub. I'm gonna move that off. Authorize VS Live. Okay. So now, if I
Oh, you mean like so Dom asked if Apollo has anything, and it cites about a smaller package for, I'm going to assume, like a slimmed down client, essentially. Um, I don't think so, but I use Apollo client for scripts all the time as well. Like you don't have to necessarily take advantage of that, or you can use GraphQL request if you prefer. Uh, yeah, you would definitely need Apollo client to make use of a link. But let me find this repo uh, and find the file.
see if this works.
Cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, run that. And so here I'm using Apollo client in like a node project. I just dropped the link in the chat. So it's and I'm just using it to make requests from the GitHub API, nothing complicated. So you can use it for that or for we got
We
it.
got it.
Bum, 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 wah, wah, wah. I took a note of needing GraphQL, and I have
Yeah, that's the ticket.
like Yeah, yeah. Added that, and I wonder if maybe it says it's a pure dependency now, and like we didn't see it after installing the client, but still, I think it'd be more.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it'd be better to just
it
have
should
it
be here.
listed right there. Yeah, that would make it easier
Yes.
for people. This is why we
Oh,
do
I
these
agree.
things. Developer
This
advocacy
is
in
why we
action.
do it.
This is
Yeah,
literally
this
our
is really
job.
why we do it. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah, cool. So we'll definitely be fixing that. But cool, so we got it. And
so
so
we're using the
that's what it
query.
takes.
We've,
Yeah, that's what it takes to get running.
cool.
Um, yeah, so we're up and running. So I think the next thing that we want to do,
Maybe
um,
be able to add or delete a habit or something. Use a mutation of some kind.
yeah, let's use a mutation of some kind.
So let's see. So we can. We'll just use mutation. Now we probably want to start breaking this out into components though, because this is gonna get wonky fast.
It's going to get
Yeah.
hairy.
So maybe we do a new component called like add habit, and I can never. I swear to God, I'll never remember my snippet for adding a functional component, which probably means that I shouldn't be using that snippet anymore. Import. What's my? None of my snippets are working. So I gotta,
That's fun.
yeah,
Gotta love that.
import. Okay, so we're gonna do import React from React, and we're gonna do const add habit. I don't know if we're gonna have any props here. Maybe not. I don't know. And we know we're gonna need use mutation from oops namespace Apollo client. Okay. So now, oh, we have Carlos now in the chat. Welcome, Carlos.
Yeah, welcome.
Are you
What's the
coming all the
size of
way from? Is
Apollo
this the
plant?
Carlos that's in Hong Kong? Are you coming all the way from Hong Kong to watch this? Is this the right person that I've got? Okay, so we're gonna need a little form here, and let's just do. So let's just do a little form, and all we really need, I think, if we look at our add habit, actually, we all we need is the description. So all we need is a single input of type equals text, and we'll do placeholder equals add habit, and then we're going
I'm
to
digging
need
it.
a button type equals submit add. So if I just add habit, it didn't auto import. Oh, I forgot to export it. That's why. Export default add habit. I was doing some Angular stuff this morning, so my brain is getting getting all over the place now.
Very confused.
Import
Yeah.
add habit
I haven't written
from.
Angular in a while. I wonder what it would be like to dive back in. I should make something soon.
It's pretty great. It's just a different. It's just such a different mental model than React, and so
Yeah.
you like going back and forth is crazy.
Yeah. I bet.
Ah, now Carlos is back in Europe. Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, Carlos. Okay. So do I have? I should have like a non-functional form. Yeah. Okay. So now we can wire this up. Maybe we can do the live share thing now. Let me see. I'm gonna drag this off the screen because I think it's gonna share like show.
No, it won't. If you hit start collaboration, it will just say that the URL is copied to your clipboard.
Gotcha.
And then you just like share it with me.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I'm
should be
gonna
good.
paste this into our Skype chat.
Yeah.
We're gonna go super high tech here and do a collab session.
Collab. Let's see. All
Collab
right.
lab.
So, okay.
Oh, Kurt Kemple has
Okay.
joined the session. This is cool. I've actually never used the live share thing. I've only like I've seen a lot of demos of it, but I've never actually used it. So this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So next thing that we want to do, okay, yeah. So yeah, let's
We
just
just got to wire up the
oh, one
form.
thing. Yeah, we just got to wire up the
Oops.
form. If you go to um back to the live share settings.
Okay. Is that
All right,
it's
so you see the green circle next to my name?
yeah. Oh,
So click inside that like green circle or there. That works too apparently. Okay, so now you're technically following me. So when I go to other follows, your files, your editor should jump there as well. So let's see if that works. So I'll go to add habit, and it did not seem to bring you along. Let
oh
me
yeah.
type
No, it
something.
did.
Maybe
I
I.
think there's just a little
Oh,
bit
it
of a
did.
there's just a little bit of a lag from what you're seeing,
Oh,
but
right.
it
Yeah, that's right.
yeah
I'm looking at the stream. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, yeah, so now we're in here. And what we're going to do is, I want to say it's going to be const. Well, we'll type out our mutation, as well. But let me do this real quick. Let me actually, oops, jump over here.
While you're doing that, oops, clicked the wrong thing. The Dom had asked in the chat. I think it might have gotten moderated because of the link, but he asked, "Do you have any idea how maintained the Auth0 Next.js library is?" I don't know. It's very much an experimental thing that our what he's talking about. I'll bring it up on screen. It's an experimental thing that the developer experience team is working on with our one of our principal architects named Sandrino. So it's not really meant to be used in production, but um, I think all of this Jamstack stuff is going to be pretty high priority for DevRel and the DX team. We're sort of working on how to collaborate on this kind of stuff. So hopefully that answers the question. Okay. Oh, I turned off your. Okay, here we go. We're back.
All right. Cool. So I've added the output. So I haven't written the mutation yet, but I am just checking one thing very quickly.
No problem. I'm.
Okay, so what I was looking at, sorry, it was like about the cache because it's different in 3.0.
Ah,
So I'm trying to. I had to go reference the docs. I don't think this part has been updated yet because it's still referencing cache.write query. So that's fine. What I can do is
is this in the configuring the cache
I'm going
section?
to send the link to where I am at. So what I'm looking at right now, I'll drop this in actually the chat for everyone to see. So I dropped it in the Twitch chat, and then I guess here, let me give it to you as well.
I grabbed it.
Um, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am looking at, if you scroll down to updating a single existing entity, I was looking at updating the cache after a mutation. I don't think this has been updated yet, so I have to um,
Mm.
figure that out because if you scroll down to the actual call a little bit further, an update to do, um, where they submit the to do. Oh, it's actually two, like one more. Scroll down past this code block to the next one on the docs.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not seeing it because it's not updated yet. Oh, here we go. So to the next example here. So for the update function, it's on the use mutation, it's got updates and cache.write query. So that is not how it's done anymore. That's like where I'm talking about where calling use mutation is the same, but then the parameters that you deal with to update the cache after the mutation is essentially what is different now. So what I'm going to do is go get this blog post that I know that actually covers this. And see if we can fix it. We can at least make the mutation, and I guess we'll deal with the cache next. But I think I've got it here. Yeah, so you would call cache.modify. Cool. Okay. Okay. Cool. I found it. Yes, success. So I just want to share this because I like sharing. Sharing is caring. Yeah. So this is an article about like some of the findings about someone who's been using the beta for a while and how they liked it. But they have a great example of what updating the cache looked like after a mutation before and after. And
yeah, I like this.
Yeah, it's a really great article. And yeah, there's a section on cache.modify, and that is where the real money is. Just down a little bit further. It's like about halfway. Yeah, but so this is what we're going to make use of after we make our mutation.
Cool.
Yeah, right? All right. So let's go back to VS Code. Or I'll go back to VS Code, I guess, technically. You'll have to do that. All right, so the first thing we need is our mutation. So
I'm gonna switch the channel for this music because it's like too epic. It's supposed to be like ambient music, but it's like way too epic. Let's see. I want like
chill
wave, basically.
Synth wave, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Synthwave, here we go. This is much more my speed.
Oh yeah, lo-fi beats and hip hop.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that is a good one. All right.
Oh man, I love.
Yeah, it's good, right? So actually, instead of me typing out this mutation, you already have it in graphical. Let's go get it from there.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's grab it. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Add habit. Just
Perfect.
And then yeah.
Okay.
Let's do
yes,
different.
GQL is not defined. I'll fix that though.
3 daily.
Boom. Love it. All right. So GQL. Now that's defined. Take that. We've got this. We've got our mutation. We're good to go there. For the input, I guess we could just leave it hard coded, but we don't want that, right? Actually, we want.
We want to use a variable, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just do input, and in this case, we'll just make it a string.
Well,
oops.
Yeah.
Or is it supposed to be an object?
Does it? Yeah.
Create habit.
So it's supposed to be an object because it's an input type, but I don't know if you could like hide that away from the client. I don't know.
No, we should do what whatever is the proper way.
Yeah,
looking at the docs.
The idea is if it's an object, then as it grows, like there could be other properties that get added to this that down the road. So
is there an add habit input type already defined in the query?
Yeah,
or in the schema?
There should be. Let me see. It's either it might be called create.
It would say
I think it's called create habit actually. Try create habit. Yeah, I think I'm create habit, or maybe it's new habit input type. Yeah, I have to go back and refactor.
Yeah, no worries. New habit input. or just new
Yeah. Oh,
habit?
there it goes. Magic. That's cool. That's really
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. So that's it. And then input. Yeah, it's not being used, but we'll fix that. And it's probably required, right? Is it required? I would imagine.
Yeah.
Cool. So that looks like it's not erroring. I'll take
That's
it.
cool. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and
So you don't
that's the
even if you're
power of.
not using TypeScript, you can use this type and it will know whether you're passing it incorrectly.
Well, yeah, because this is the Apollo GraphQL code extension, and it knows
Yeah.
the GraphQL types. Yeah, still using like typing to figure all of this out, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, I've been getting more and more into TypeScript actually, because the more I'm back in GraphQL, the more that I just love. I forgot how much I like typed systems because it allows you to do so much more.
Yeah.
And I'm really starting to get back into that kind of flow. It's nice.
Yeah. I love TypeScript.
Yeah, it's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got this.
So
So
the
now we need to call it.
use mutation is an array instead of an object, and we do.
I think so. So right now we don't really need to worry about this part, but I believe that data would be the data that comes back after this is called, right?
Right. Right.
And we could check this. Actually, I'm going to leave it because we'll console log it, which is the developer's best friend, to see what's
Yeah.
going on and what we get inside of there. So, but we don't want to. We'll console log it here actually.
And do we need to add habit here to use mutation right here?
We do.
Okay.
Oh yes, we do. Thank you. So yeah, we absolutely do, because now it knows what we're going to call, and then on click we want to add habit. So we should be able to just do that.
Oh man, that's just like too easy.
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Yeah, let's see. So we go back to our client and learn Apollo every day. So now we're not refreshing. Oh, also we probably need to prevent default on there, unless we do type.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
do
because
type
it
equals. I'll just
reload.
do type
Yeah.
equals button.
Good call.
So
Yeah.
add Apollo.
Because that did reload the page. Yeah. All right. What do we got in the console? Looks like we got an error.
Oh yeah, we got a status code 400 there. So let me open it. We got the server here. Oh, that didn't.
Yeah. Let's look at.
Are we?
What was the error message in the 400?
It was status code 400 received from the server. Localhost 4000 bad request. We must have done something with our mutation.
Mutation,
Yeah.
right? Oh, the variable. There's no variable.
Oh.
We didn't pass the variable.
Yeah.
That's not wired up
that
yet.
would probably help. Let's see here. Go back to add habit. Yeah, so we need to.
Silly me. So we need some state. I'm gonna bring in some state if that's cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I'm just gonna call it state because, yeah, we only have one input.
Yeah.
And we're only dealing with one thing. And this will be, I guess, null to start. No, you can't do that with inputs, right? Otherwise, it has to like have. No, I guess it'd be undefined.
It could be or an empty string, I guess. I don't. Or well, no, it's an object. It's an object. So yeah, value equals state. Well, it'd be state dot description, probably, right? Or are we gonna do? How are we gonna do that?
We're gonna set the so when we call add habit, this is gonna become a function, and we'll actually have to call this. And for the variables, I believe it takes a property called variables. Yes, because we're getting, look at that, the variables, and then input is the variable, the name, and that will be an object with description that's equal to our state. Prettier? No? Can you save that? See if it fixes.
Boink.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's prettier. And now we haven't called set state. So let's fix that by adding our handler here. So actually, yeah, we need the event. And then we could say set state. It's going to be e target.value.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to save that. Okay.
Yeah, and let's see if it works now.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see. Learn JavaScript daily. Oh, I did the wrong thing. I haven't set up the...
That's all right.
Daily JavaScript. Okay, well, we got a 200, and we got... Yeah, so that worked, because it's...
Okay.
It created the habit.
Is our data?
We have data. Because I just set it to return the new habit to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but let's look at console log, because I want to see I'm console logging data as well. I want to see if that is in fact the data object.
Yep. Data create habit.
Oh, there we go.
It looks like that's running every time on changes. Yeah, every time it's rendering. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, you could change that.
Yeah.
This is because the state is changing and I'm console logging data outside of anything.
Right.
Like I'm just doing it. Yeah. So every render, it's going to console log data.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So
we could do, if like we only wanted it if data was there, is if data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Console log data. That would be less noisy. But yeah, that's it. We've got a mutation. So here's the thing. Though. I want to, if we can, try and look at the cache.
Yeah, because what we would like to have happen is that when that changes, it refetches the list.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, we don't want to refetch from the cache. We want to update the list in the cache so that the UI will update for us, right? Like anytime. So when we update the cache, that should broadcast, and like so we should get, when we add one, it should automatically add to our list once we add to the cache. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, and that is what we want. So in order to do that, let me jump back to, and so this is my first time trying this, which is really cool. I'm excited to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a code snippet. Actually, no, I'm not. I have control. I don't have to send you a code snippet at all.
Oh, Khalil is saying that you can print out the cache with Apollo client.cache.data.data. Window.Apollo client.cache.data.data.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can print it out and take a look, but I think if we just actually implement the update function, it should just update and work. I'm hoping that we don't even need to print out the cache to see what's in it, but you can if you want to like look at the structure of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so
what we're going to do now is we're going to add another parameter to our call to the mutation. So we have variables, and we're going to add update. And update is going to receive an instance of the cache. And so where this differs from 2.0 was that you had to like read a query to pull something out of the cache, mutate that, and then write like a mutation back into the cache. Like it was still kept in the sense of like you're still dealing with GraphQL, but it's weird because this code isn't very declarative. It's more imperative. So it was just like very awkward. So the cache has a much like more common or simpler API with like things like cache.modify, which is what we're going to use. Cache.evict. So you can call evict to like eliminate things at a certain ID, right? Like a particular item or list of items. You can clear them out of the cache. And then another one is GC, garbage collect. So it will like go through and clean up the cache as well,
Oh,
which is
wow.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So what we want to call is cache.modify. And so then we want to work off root query, I believe, because our habits are the field off of the root, right? So there's it's not like anything under. So it's going to be root query. And then this gets, I want to say, a function. Let me jump back. And Khalil probably knows better than me. It takes an object as a second parameter with the keys. Okay. So here we have an object, and now we're going to define habits off of here. And so we know we want to work with and update habits. That's the thing that we want to change.
Right.
And so then we get just the list of the, oh wait, is that in an object or is the first parameter? Just first parameter. Okay. So we get habits like this, which is just an array of our habits. So we'll console log that. And these are the previous habits. And so now what we would do, but the one thing that I'm confused about on update is cache, is how do we get data? It doesn't seem like we would want to use this, right? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's because that's kind of what I was wondering. Is like, I happen to be returning the new habit there, but pushing that onto the cache doesn't seem right. I don't know. I mean, I guess.
No. So what we would be updating would be, like if we're going to create this ourselves, it would be like the placeholder. So it would just have like the description, or I guess in this case, we would want to create the IDs on our side, right? Like, because otherwise, how do we know to update it and fix it? Does that make sense?
Well, I mean,
like we want to put an object representation of what's going to be in there. I think this might actually get called after.
Yeah, I mean, the habits have IDs
anyway.
on them, so
yeah,
you should be able to. They already have IDs getting put on them, so.
On the server, right?
Yeah. Khalil says, or Carlos says, use refetch queries. Khalil says, try printing out the cache first. Apollo client is generally pretty good at putting added items into the cache as long as we return the new item. So I guess he's saying that we do. I guess he's saying we do add.
We don't even have to do this. Yeah. Yeah. So if that's the case, though, we would expect that to re-render and then show up in the list, but we don't get that. Or do we have to call like a manual refresh?
Yeah, I'm not sure since this component is nested underneath the component that has the root query to go get the habits.
Okay.
Let's see. What have we got for?
Yeah, so, and are you returning, what are we returning in the, yeah, refresh queries will make it work, but I think we can do it without doing that. Yeah, so you could do that, but I believe we just want to modify the cache, add this entry into it, and then it should broadcast those changes for us. That's like the preferred way that I would like to get this to work. Yeah, let's try and get that going first, and then we'll. So I guess the one thing I want to know, I'm gonna have to go look at the code to see what modify returns. Or maybe it's in the docs. Let me see if I can find this.
This music's really hit or miss. Let's see.
I have the stream muted, so I don't hear like everything twice.
Yeah.
Can't hear the music, so I've been spared this whole time.
Yeah, I don't have the I don't have the music piped into your audio.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah, that's why. Yeah.
I'm gonna try check out the Chiptune Station and see if that's any better. Now we're really gonna feel like we're in a video game.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Yeah, so I don't see it in the doc, so I'm gonna go right to GitHub.
You can't hear this, but it's like literally video game music. It's pretty funny.
That's amazing. That is awesome.
If you ever want to feel like your code is a boss fight, this is the station to listen to.
All right, so I'm digging. I'm getting closer. I guess you know what we can do in the meantime. Did I just get it? Nope. All right, so we got a simpler way. Let's do it the old school.
Okay.
Debug way. We know we have a cache function, and I know that we can get that out, but I'm curious to see what else comes back with this update function. So
Okay.
let's call this arguments. So, yeah, and then we can console log that.
Oh, Carlos is dropping the refetch queries code on us.
Yes. Yeah. So refetch queries would definitely work, but what that's going to do is actually refetch the queries, send the request over the wire. And what I'm trying to avoid is that, like, we should be able to deal with just the response from the mutation and update the cache without having to do a second round trip
I see what
to
you're
the server.
saying.
Yeah. Okay, so let's run this. Let's go click on this button a few times and see what we get.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, it looks like there's an error.
You can't use. That's why we use args. I think we just have to change this.
Oh,
to
right.
Args.
Args.
There we go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so now if I do, oh, we need to. I forgot to do. Hold on. We need to in our.
Oh, it looks like it did try to add it when you clicked on that. It said each child in an array needs to have a new key.
Yeah, so I need
So
to.
maybe that's why that wasn't. Yeah.
I need to do this. Key equals habit.id, right?
Yeah.
That should take care of that. All
Yep.
right, so we got that. So a component is changing an uncontrolled output of text to be controlled. Input elements should not switch from a controller.
That's because of the undefined thing. That's yeah, so we could fix that by changing that to an empty
So we
string.
got args here. Whoops. I think we need to call prevent default or something. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, on the form.
Yeah.
It's because we're in a form. Maybe even just remove the form, and then we'll just.
Oh, there's the in.
Okay, so that's the data. Here's the args. So it's the cache, and then the second one is data. Yeah, open up the second parameter. Number 1, down a little bit. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Cool. Okay, but it's updating it for us, but what we can gather from that, if we jump back into VS Code. So, like Khalil said, it's actually smart enough. So I'm in add habits. Let's see if it brings you over there or not. I don't think you're technically tracking me anymore.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
Here we go.
All right. So, yeah, so we know that now the arguments, which is what I figured. But I had to be sure. So we get cache, and then we get an object, and on that has data. So that's how we can get the response that's there. So like Khalil said, it's smart enough to know because this type is very obvious. It can use the type name and knows to add it to the collection. Um, but it won't add it to the root query array. Interesting. So there we go. So what we want is for it to be added to the root query array. So we can get rid of this. And now we can, I think, return, or no, we would, yeah, I think we have to return a new array with habits. Data dot create. What was that called? Create habit?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Okay, and also Khalil saying it needs a little bit of help to decide what we want it to do. Yeah, general rule of thumb, dealing with arrays, right? Apollo client needs to be told how you want to handle the new data because this is also how you would deal with things like pagination and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because in some scenarios you do want to refetch. I mean, especially because if the data is being modified by someone else, like you don't always want to rely on the data. It just depends on the use case, you know?
Yeah, totally. And it might not always be super obvious. Like you might be updating or need to modify something particular in the cache that is in a collection, but you can get to any field based off of where you start. And in this case, we're just on the root query type, but you can actually modify the cache at a particular point, right? Like one object in particular out of a collection. So
okay, so let's see, modify cache. Let's just see. If I click add, yeah. So now it's now it's working.
Yeah.
So let me understand this since I didn't write this. If I comment this out,
it should still work.
It should still work. Let's see.
Because it's easy for it would still work as far as the cache is concerned. Oh wait, did it not update?
No, it didn't. If I comment that out, it doesn't actually update.
Oh, okay. So there we go.
So I guess if you don't do that, then you do the refresh.
Oh, because it's
queries,
an array.
Right?
Yeah. So it doesn't know what to do. You would have to do refresh queries or handle the update yourself.
Gotcha.
But this way seems more optimal than refetch queries.
I guess
because you don't want to make another request,
Yeah, I guess in this scenario, it probably depends a lot on
your use case,
on what you're doing. Yeah, like in this scenario, sure, it definitely makes sense to just pop it onto the thing. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I wouldn't have known to do that for sure. I've never seen that. That's awesome. So you're saying this stuff, the cache.modify, yeah, it didn't. Okay. Yeah.
Well, cache.modify didn't exist. Like there was still an update function that still existed, but it was much different how you went about it.
Okay.
You had to write the query of the data you wanted to pull out of the cache to modify. Yeah. And then you had to write the mutation to write it back. Whereas this is like a bit more of a resolvery type API in a sense.
Yeah, this looks just like it looks just like just making a new resolver basically.
Yeah, so it's just giving you the raw habits out of the cache, and whatever you return, if I return null from here, like or an empty array, that's what would become.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like super fast too, because it's basically doing optimistic updating.
It's optimistic. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like optimistic update. It's so fast because the response is coming back instantly because we're on your local host.
Right. Is there a way to account for, like, does this take into account if there's an error, in other words, it's not going to try. Oh yeah, because it's getting this directly from the data that's returned from the server. It's not getting this from the state that we've created. So
right, which is why I didn't want to access data up on like line 21, However, if we
Right.
scroll back up, you can also pull off of here loading and error.
That's right.
So if the mutation is running, you could display a certain type of UI, and then if you get an error, you could update the UI accordingly with the proper like
Yeah.
error. Yeah,
Well, like one
you can
thing
still do
you could
that.
just do disabled equals loading, right?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
then we could say, I mean, it's gonna happen in like a fraction of a second. You can almost see it. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
really see
but
it. It did
yeah,
actually disable while it was loading, but
yeah. Well,
um,
easy way, you could also put like a set timeout on the response in the server, and like
yeah,
then you
yeah, I
would
might I might have to
disable.
do that just to make it a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, like
Just add
35
like a
milliseconds or
yeah,
something.
just like a real quick. Or we could if we throttle the internet, will that do it? Let's see. If we do
Oh,
network,
maybe. Oh
we'll
yeah, if
do
you
like
mimic it here,
slow
yeah, that should
3G,
definitely work.
and
Yeah,
then yeah, there we go. Now it's disabled because it's loading, so that's pretty cool.
that is wicked.
Yeah.
It's wicked cool.
Well, that might be a good stopping point because
That is a
we're
good stopping
that's
point.
like a really
Anything
good
else
stopping point.
is yeah, more way getting way more in depth. That's a pretty good overview of how quick it is to set up Apollo clients and work with it. Yeah.
Was there anything else from like that's changing in Apollo 3 that people should know about?
Yeah, there's a couple things. The biggest one really is just like this new cache API.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think it's the blog post that I linked to. Um,
Yeah, this one.
oh, here we go. Thank you. So somebody actually posted. It looks like a link that might be. Oh yeah, no, yeah. This is what I was looking for before. Thank you. That's yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that blog post that I linked. Let me grab it again.
I've got it pulled
Uh,
up too. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So if you want to drop that link, yes, first impressions with this. I mean, give this a read if you don't. If you're using it and you want to know like what's going to be different about the cache, but there's some really cool stuff with like cache evictions and garbage collection. The typing policies are a lot different and easier to use. There's just a lot of interesting things. Merge function is pretty awesome.
Hmm.
So if you
Yeah.
define that for a field, cache calls will get merged with like whatever the new data is. So like again, handling like pagination, you can control how the data that comes in is like inserted into that cache, right? Like,
Oh
um,
wow.
yeah, like some maybe you're going back in time and or like you have two-way, infinite scrolling, and some things need to go at the beginning of the cache and some need to go at the end because of whichever way they're
Wow.
scrolling. All different kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Awesome.
it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Well,
cool.
this was great.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it, and I'm still learning it, honestly. So, I mean, it's on beta 41. I should have jumped on it a while ago, but yeah, if you are not using the beta yet and you are using Apollo, we would love for you to try the beta out. We really want to get this released, but we want to catch all those things. So, if you're using Apollo in production and you have the ability to try this out, we would be very grateful because we want to make sure that it is, as good as possible when it's released. And release is coming relatively soon. We're working towards a release candidate right now. Most of the major lifting in 3.0 is done, so it's like definitely safe to start using and experimenting with. The API is not meant to change much now. So yeah,
Cool. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great to
that's
know.
what I would say. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Hey,
this is
I
fun.
think James is still on. If James, if you're here, is the next? Do you have any idea when our next stream is and who it's with? If you're still there, paging James Q Quick, paging. I think it's in a couple of weeks, and I think it's with Gatsby, but I am not positive. I think
Ooh,
that's our next thing.
cool.
But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. And Kurt is at it's twitch.tv/ the worst dev, right? The worst dev.
Yeah, it is the worst
And
dev.
also twitter.com/Kurt Kemple, right?
Yes, which soon there'll be a worse dev eventually.
Yeah. So be sure to
Eventually.
follow Kurt. Uh, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. And
It's been really fun.
yeah,
This was a blast.
yes. And then I'll be
Yeah.
doing a stream on my personal channel on Thursday at 11 PST, continuing to work on my Gatsby blog. Um, are you doing anything soon, Kurt, that you want to mention?
Yeah. It's so funny. It looks like my video is about to die. Yeah. So real quick, we're going to be having Natter Dabbit from AWS on the Apollo stream pretty soon.
Oh, wow.
So that's like next week. Yeah. So that's going up on the schedule, and then just turn into the Apollo Twitch channel. We do a lot of fun stuff. We do weekly updates about GraphQL every Monday morning at 9 PST or noon Eastern Daylight Time. And then, we also do a show called Launchpad every Thursday, which is at like 12 PST and 3 p.m. EST, where we build an app from start to finish. So some of the cool things. And we're going to be releasing a Google Calendar very soon. So it's be very easy to subscribe and just always be notified of what we're doing.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
But lots of streaming coming. And y'all are going to come on too, right? In
Yeah,
like
yeah,
about
we
2
are
weeks.
actually.
So let's not forget
Yeah,
about
we
that.
are.
Yeah.
Someone from Auth0 will be coming on the Apollo channel. I'm not sure if it's going to be me or somebody
Yeah.
else. But yeah.
Yeah. We we're looking forward to it. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you
Sweet.
again for
Yeah,
having me.
thanks. And I will stop the stream now. Thanks, everyone.